Good evening. Please stand for the pledge.
Good evening. Welcome to the November 14th, 2024 Planning Board meeting. First on the agenda is Frey subdivision for a public hearing, 79 Secor Road. All right. Yeah. We'll go to, next on the agenda is Cass subdivision, 90 Mexico Lane. Mike, did you have some comments?
What is this? No, this is on for public hearing. The necessary variances were granted and noted on the plat.
Right. And Pat, no comments either?
Likewise, Mr. Chairman, they've addressed all the issues. This is on for a public hearing tonight.
Anyone from the public wish to be heard on this applicant?
Mr. Chairman, as there are no comments from the public, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Third on the agenda is Sugar Coup Development Incorporated, took you a while to get that too. 345 Austin Road, also for a public hearing. Anyone from the public wish to be heard on this? Yes, please, come up and state your name.
Yes.
This is 345 Austin Road.
Okay, Stephen DeFino. I own the property with the driveways going up, and they were talking about a maintenance agreement. That hasn't been finalized yet.
Mike, do you know anything about that, or?
I do not.
Does
Do you know
Joe?
if they did it?
I don't know. I can look. I'm not sure.
That's usually a condition of the approval,
Right.
not a condition of the, what you call
A
it?
maintenance agreement would be a condition of approval, so normally the board would grant the approval. That would be a condition, and it wouldn't be executed until the maintenance agreement is accepted by all parties.
Okay, my question is, before this is finalized, can my attorney look at the maintenance agreement?
It's his property.
It's going to come to me for final review, and I'm happy to put another set of eyes on it. You want to tell me who it is? I'm happy to send it to him.
We would share that information.
To-
It's got to be worked out between.
Speak into the microphone,
It's
please.
got to be worked out between me and the...
Yes, it's, the maintenance agreement will be worked out between the neighbor and the Schlacku, so I don't think they'll,
Well, no, my question is, this is going to, I want it done first before this goes through. If anybody starts changing my deeds around and stuff.
The map will not be signed.
Right.
The map will not be signed
Thank you.
until this is all, that's a condition of approval.
Thanks.
Is that clear to you, sir?
Happy customer, right?
Well, I believe that's what he wanted.
Yeah.
So, we'll make sure we do that then. That's part of the record.
yeah, it has to be worked out because there's going to be a whole new easement.
Yeah.
And Joe has to review that and everything because the driveway's shifting a little bit.
Of course, yeah. Yep. All right, good.
So, Pat, should we close the public hearing then?
Yes, that's not unusual.
Okay.
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is RPK Precision Homes, Seminary Hill Road for a bond return. That's yours also? Anyone from the public wish to be heard on this? Please come up and state your name.
Mr. Chairman, I think the town engineer had a comment on this, which may be beneficial for the folks to hear before they come up so that they could
Sure.
possibly comment on that.
Okay, Pat, would you like to read it?
Yep, I found his memo, so He's speaking the bond request, determining when it can be removed. The original bond was posted for $773,000. It was reduced to $200,000 in 2019. The applicant's engineer has provided a breakdown of the items that have been completed since that time. Town engineer says, based on that inspection, the site features have been installed as approved and are completed, and he suggests that the bond can be returned.
Please state your name.
Hi, my name is Angela Cabelli, and I reside at the Villas. We received a letter from the management company that the engineer sent with a list of grievances. So I'm just here to represent the community and see if they were all fixed before they got their bond back.
So grievances being things that have not been done?
Yes.
So what we'd have to weigh through is whether they're bonded items or not.
Are they inside the building or outside the building?
They're outside.
Okay, it just matters.
Okay, so I'll just give you an example of what, again, this is what we were sent. It was, the walking paths were to be repaired, the storm pond was supposed to be dredged and revegetated. Depression. Excuse me? Speak into the microphone. Oh, I'm sorry. The storm pond was supposed to be replanted and revegetated. I don't know if you heard me on the path. The path was supposed to be repaired. There's a depression in the driveway areas where the water valve needs to be brought up to grade. All valves need to be cleared of debris. The walkways have deep cracks that are an endangerment hazard, walking hazard. I don't even know, like I said, I'm just repeating, I don't know if it's part of the
Yeah, was that
house,
list
the
shared?
outside of the house.
Was that list shared with the town engineer?
This was given to us by the engineer, given to the management company.
Which engineer?
The question is, was it our town engineer? Is that our town engineer?
Wait. Franzetti?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Franzetti? It was from him, and he gave it to the management company. I believe, I was just told that the aluminum siding on the side of the building is not their responsibility, but it
What's
was
the-
on the list.
What's the date of that letter? Is that recent?
It was today, November 11th, I'm sorry.
And is this a letter to Mr. Franzetti or a letter
It
from
was
Mr.?
from Mr. Franzetti to the management company
So,
Yeah.
this year. 3 days ago, I guess.
so look, unfortunately, Rich couldn't be here tonight. I don't want to jump ahead, but we could talk about this for an hour, and without Rich here,
No, we're just concerned that it was
Yeah.
taken care of.
my preference is to hold this over
Yeah, I
2
mean-
weeks so that we can straighten this out.
So the dates don't align. So if that's that's from our engineer
I don't have,
today or
I don't
yesterday.
know anything about the ponds and stuff.
Rich's
I'm
memo
only
is dated
telling you.
October 1st.
Yeah.
And Rich is saying all of those items have been addressed.
Bobby, it's not your time, but you got it.
Just 1 second, you can speak, just
Yeah, just
let
wait
us
1
sort
second.
through this.
So I
I'm
think
not
you need-
comfortable-
I think you need to hear from Rich, just the dates don't align.
Yeah, I'm just not comfortable not having Rich here. He's our engineer. None of us have gone out to inspect the property for that, that's what he does. Rather than go back and forth for 2 hours and not resolve this, let's reschedule this for 2 weeks when Rich is here, and we can have the dialogue and hopefully find
So
resolution.
you don't know anything about this?
I've not seen
Can I
that.
see the letter?
Can I, yeah, can I make a copy of that?
Yeah. You could ignore all my handwriting on the side, though.
I'll make a copy of it.
All right.
And as we do this, does that gentleman wish to speak?
Yeah, I think he does.
Everything she has on that letter has been addressed, back and forth with Rich. I have photos of the plantings that were placed around the pond. We have bills.
Could you
having it
just
dredged.
identify yourself for the record?
Robert Panning, one of the developers. Everything that she has on that list has been addressed.
Well, this has been here for several years, right? 2019, we knocked the bond down to 200,000. I still would like Rich here. It just doesn't.
And I understand. I
Yeah.
just figured I'd let you know. All
Okay,
the
yeah,
stuff she
okay.
has on that list has been all addressed. It was something that Rich Franzetti wanted taken care of. It was done months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll resolve that in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Thank you. Hopefully we'll resolve it in 2 weeks.
put this in the box.
Sure. Okay? Does that satisfy you? No, no, we'll give that,
You want to keep it?
we'll give that back to you. We made a copy.
This isn't from Rich. Ma'am? Ma'am? Ma'am?
That one stays here? And then we
Here. I have the original. Yeah. Ma'am?
Ma'am, this letter is not from Rich Franzetti.
excuse me?
This letter appears to be
The
from,
management company gave it to me.
but, okay, but it's not,
Regardless of who the letter is from, I
Yeah.
think it
Yeah.
would be wise to have Mr. Franzetti go out
Yep.
and make sure that he's inspected all of those things and signed off on them so that there's no issue, and it probably would be wise to hold a public hearing open.
Wouldn't you have knowledge if he was there and wrote it off on
We
it?
do,
He
and
would
his
when he got
letter,
here.
his letter has said he's seen it, inspected it, and signed off on it. So you're-
I'd
you're-
rather,
you're-
just for everyone's sake, I'd rather everyone agree. And if Rich comes here and says, look, yes, you're right about that valve, and we went there and we cleared it. Or, yes, that sidewalk, but, you know, so,
Okay, all right, and then anything on the outside of the building, they're not responsible for,
Rich would know better, but anything on the inside of the building,
no,
no.
on the outside, like the aluminum siding, that's.
That's building.
That's building.
That's building, yeah, no.
but there
That's
are a
building.
list of bondable
No,
items.
you know what? This is like our first
Yep.
rodeo, and it's nothing personal, but we represent.
No.
Sure. There's a list of bondable items.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sorry to talk over you.
so,
There's a list of bondable items that are required at the beginning, and that's what he inspects along the way to make sure they're all completed, and if they are, that's when you get your bond
like
back.
I said.
So state it differently, ma'am. If it's on the list, it's bondable. If it's not on the list, it's not bondable.
Okay.
And you're doing the right thing coming forward.
Yeah.
We'll resolve
You know,
it.
like it's nothing personal.
No, 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 no.
And, you know, we have a whole bunch of people that are up in arms saying, we want the right thing done also.
So do we.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So we're gonna leave this public hearing open.
Can we ask if there were any other comments so that if there are issues to address, we can address
Sure.
everything
Yeah,
in 2 weeks?
yeah, we're gonna let anyone that's here from the public have an opportunity to talk tonight.
Is it possible
Please
I
state-
could sit? I can't stand well.
Sure, please state your
Is
name.
that okay?
That microphone is
Can we-
portable.
Paul, can you give her the microphone?
Thank you, sir. Good evening. My name is Rosemary Gillen. I would like to thank the board for your time, attention to this matter, and your service to the community. I live at 17 Tango Lane. The backyard of my home abuts the RPK Precision Homes project and is downhill from the site. My home is on the west side of Tango. Myself and other homeowners on Tango Lane have been experiencing flooding during periods of rain. I've been living there. I moved in 2.5 years ago. The runoff has undermined areas of the backyard, and streams were created from the rear of the property and around the house. The runoff started immediately when we moved in. It was apparent. The conditions are very dangerous and destructive and frightening. There is a sinkhole that is apparent. The water goes into the ground. I don't know where it's going, but I am really frightened that my house is going to sink. The water freezes over the driveway, and it's causing ice to form in the cold weather. I put up a fence to keep my dogs safe. The water is so fierce that it's eroding the soil under the fence, and with every rain, I have to replenish the soil to replace the gaps that are occurring under the fence. There's several inches of water, and it's it's forceful enough that it can wash away a pet or a small child. I have tons of videos if it's needed. I am aware that RPK has made changes to their drainage system to reduce the flooding on Tangle Lane, and I appreciate that. But I am not aware if anyone has checked to see if the runoff situation has changed. I'm asking if there are any reports of inspections made by the town after the changes were made during the heavy rain events. The last few months, as you all know, has been very dry. We're in a drought. We haven't seen any significant rain in months. So it's impossible to assess intelligently if the repairs that RPK has done to mitigate this water drainage problem is effective at all. I'm basically asking for the planning board to hold off returning the bond until inspections have been done over at least 3 heavy rain periods to see if the changes were effective in reducing or eliminating the flooding. I know that the town engineer has reviewed the work and found that it was completed, but there is nothing in the record from the town engineer that changes eliminated the flooding on Tangle Drive. I would respectfully request that the planning board advise that the performance bond should not be returned until such time as evidence has been presented by the developer that the change to the stormwater features effectively reduce the runoff to the properties on Tangle Lane. So that's basically it.
You mentioned properties. Is it more than one property?
That is affected, yes. I'm in the middle of 2 other properties that are being affected, but I can't speak for them. I can speak for myself and, you know, the damage and dangerous conditions that are occurring on my property.
Paul, are you aware of this, Paul? There's no microphone.
What I can do for the board's purpose in 2 weeks is actually show you the drainage basin maps. We capture everything that flows into us. There's a lot of land from our neighbor that flows through and comes down to Tango Lane and homeowners. What we capture, we divert. So in essence, when you go through the drainage studies and you're looking at the numbers, we've cut down on the amount of runoff that comes off of the RPK property that was altered by the development. Anything to the north that deals with Arms Acres and all that land that drains down, obviously we didn't touch because we didn't work there. So there's nothing done to intercept any of that runoff. What a lot of people don't understand is the soils up in that area are extremely poor. You have very silty soil. So once you start getting some rainfall, the soil itself actually, the soil, the pore openings in between the soil, they'll clog up because the silt expands. So you get a lot more rainfall runoff on those type of soils. And this past year, we have had some really horrendous rainfalls back in, March, April, May, in that time period. But for what we've done is we've captured, diverted, and sent a lot of the runoff that we have into our detention pond. And from that pond, it goes into this, the stormwater network out in Mechanic Street. So
excuse me, where is
I don't know
the water that's coming onto this?
That's why in two weeks I'd like to be able to show you the drainage basin map, our site plan, what bypasses us, what hits what lots, and that information can be shown on that drawing.
Maybe
It
Rich can
already
go out there
exists.
during the rain. I think would also be prudent if again, this falls on our town engineer, but he can also go out there during a rainfall. I'd be happy to go with him.
Yeah.
Questions from the board, Mike or Pat, or?
No, I think we're at a disadvantage because the town engineer's not here.
Right.
All I can say that he produced a memo saying he'd been out there, but I don't know if it had been during a rain event or if he'd addressed these issues. So it's worth delaying it and letting him and Paul review this.
When you spoke tonight has been captured, it's taped, and they'll be part of this, the minutes of this meeting. And
As
we'll
I
be-
said, I have lots of video footage to document.
The town engineer will contact you, or the secretary, Rose, will contact you. We're gonna leave the public hearing open, we're not closing the public hearing tonight.
What does that mean?
It means that you can come back and,
Readdress this?
yeah. And with the town engineer here.
Okay.
I mean, needs more trips out there, as we discussed earlier, so be it.
Yeah, like basically, as I said, I would like to see it.
You need the microphone, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Again, I appreciate that what RPK has done or is doing, but we have no way of saying, well, that worked, that really helped, because we're in a drought. We've been in a drought. There's been no rain for months. So we have no way of knowing if the effectiveness of the work that they have done. So,
Agreed. And that's what we'll get to.
okay.
Any other questions from any board member?
No, the only thing I would say is you should call Rose at the planning board. So call the town hall, ask for Rose from the planning board.
Right.
And give her your name and number, so then perhaps Rich can contact you to talk about it.
Okay. Well, I have an attorney on file that's also representing me, so I believe he's been in contact with Rose.
Okay.
Okay.
So
That's fine.
that should work.
I
I'll
just wanted to make sure Rose had a way to contact.
I'll just relay to him that, yeah, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So as I mentioned earlier, we're going to leave this open for when Rich is here. Next on the agenda for a site plan is Americo Sereno, 205 East Lake Boulevard, special site plan, boathouse. My comments?
The necessary variances were granted by the zoning board of appeals. Approval from the OGS is required for this project, and ECB approval is also required.
Pat, you want to read in Mike, Rich's comment? This is mostly a variance issue, which they have been granted their variances, haven't they?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
And it's noted on the plat.
Okay.
I don't think I have Rich's memo. Oh, here it is, I got it. Let's see. He has no engineering comments on this. He just notes that a flood permit is required for the boathouse. And my comments, Mr. Chairman, this was before us quite some time ago. They went to the zoning board. It was a fairly extensive boathouse. As we've seen boathouses in the past, there's a lot going on. The issue with this was he needed a lot of variances for all of that. He's got all the variances. So he's back with essentially now a project that can move forward. So I think we're good to move this to the public hearing stage.
Agreed. There were several variances needed, as Pat just said, they've received them all, so let's get it to the public. Let's schedule a public hearing.
I'll make a motion to schedule the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Would talk to Rose, see if you get on the agenda in 2 weeks.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, this way we can hear from the public and move this along.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What are you doing?
Next on the agenda for a site plan is Marcel Carrillo, 1849 Route 6, residential site plan.
Good evening.
Good evening. Mike, I believe you had some comments on this. We can go to Pat and come back to you. Pat didn't have any comments.
All the necessary variances were granted by the ZBA and are noted on the plat.
Yeah, please, thank you. Pat, would you read Rich's, summarize Rich's?
Let the big guy take care of the noisy.
Yes, we sent the right guy there.
I'd shut up when I saw him coming too. So Rich has got a memo. He notes he needs to verify the wetland plantings that are proposed. He needs to identify if any public improvements are necessary. That would be bondable work, as you heard earlier, and there would be a stormwater bond that's required. Those are Rich's comments. This, as you remember, Mr. Chairman, was a conversion of a building to accommodate some apartments above. Once again, as Mike indicated, it was all about variances, which they have obtained, so there really aren't any site plan issues remaining at this point.
This is the property down by the auto parts stores.
Yes.
Yes, exactly right.
Yeah, I've been there.
It
So if
used to
you're-
be a house.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you walk through the offices, there's showers and like a real house.
Oh,
So it was a house at one.
Everything's hidden behind the walls.
Correct, but it's there, so.
It's there.
Yeah, and the variances, it was a use variance that was granted, so he's good to go with this conversion. And as you said many times, Mr. Chairman, this is consistent with what we are anticipating with the new zoning that would come in place, so it's consistent with the vision we have for these buildings.
how many rental units will you have here?
It's gonna be 3.
3 rental,
Yes.
2-bedroom?
That one, 2 is 2-bedroom, yes. 2-bedroom each one.
Any questions from the board? This has been around for a while. Our previous conversations, and I think you've started some of the work, is to fix up the place, beautify it, thank you.
Yes,
You know?
yes, yes. That's how we're gonna do once I get everything, permits and everything we'll start working on.
But you're gonna have to show us on the plan
Yes.
some of the things you're gonna do before they're gonna consider approving it, I believe.
Yes.
The only structural thing is gonna be done the fire escape windows, that's all.
But these are some of the things you're gonna wanna show on the plan.
Yeah.
And then do a rendering so that they can see what the building's gonna look like. I think that's what the chairman's asking for.
Exactly. We like
Maybe
to say
some
that
flower areas, you know,
some landscaping could go a long way without spending a ton of money.
Yes,
We want all properties that come before us to leave here looking nicer than what they look like today.
that's what we'll do.
And Mr. Chairman, if you remember, the applicant at the last meeting explained what he'd be doing. He's doing it again tonight. Mike's point is, we have to see it on the
Yeah,
drawing.
you have to put it on the drawings.
So we're saying all the right things. We just
I
had-
left the drawings with Mrs. Rose, everything's on the drawings in there,
Okay, we'll
so,
look at that. Okay,
This would also be ready for a public hearing,
yeah,
Mr. Chairman.
we need a motion.
Mr.
make a
Cirillo,
motion-
I think that we're asking for a little bit more dressing up than you put on the plans. I think that's what we're trying to say. What you showed on the plans was minimal.
Yeah.
Maybe you're gonna have to show us a little bit more.
okay.
Maybe
so-
some flower boxes or something
Yes.
like that where you could dress it up a little more. I know
Yeah.
you don't have a lot of spots because it's a weird front of a building, but I think that's what they're asking for.
Mr. Chairman, if you're acceptable, Mike and I can meet with him and go over those improvements.
What about, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
and John's mentioned about a rendering to, I mean, that's a major road there.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'd be happy to meet with them and go over
Okay.
what your expectations would be.
You need the
Yeah, we
microphone.
have that. What Mike is talking about is something in addition to that.
So what Mike and Pat have volunteered to do is meet with you separately?
Yeah,
Because John was just laying out also, we want to see this, this is on Route 6.
okay.
It's our main,
Yes, I understand that. That's what I did in the other house in Grenada. It looks so nice.
and you're in a position where if you're located in a position, if you do a nice job there, it's going to stand out and you'll be proud of it.
It will, I know. I would like to do that because it's gonna be my house.
Yeah,
So that's one of the things I do myself.
good. Okay, so follow up with Mike and Pat.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to schedule a public hearing.
I think we're gonna hold on.
Oh, we're going to
Well,
hold
we can do
over?
this, Mike, we can, let's try to do this in parallel. We can schedule a public hearing
Absolutely.
as long as you guys
I just think it'd be good to have a rendering for the public hearing.
Exactly.
That's
And if
all I
we-
was trying to say,
And then
'cause
if we
when
don't
people
have-
see it, it'll make them happy.
Yeah, if we don't have that, then we're gonna slow it down.
Okay,
We're gonna
so-
try to speed it up. If you can satisfy Mike and Pat and come back with a complete package.
I'll tell Mr. Nugent to help me with that because he's been helping all the time with this. So he will be able to do a rendering. I spoke to him last time, but I think he's so busy now with all the work. And that's the reason I got this and said, go there and whatever they're gonna ask you, I'll do it for you.
John, anything else you
No,
want?
no, he has 3 weeks. Is there a motion on the table?
Yes, there
Still?
is.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I don't doubt it. Next on the first site plan is Mike and Joe's Restaurant, 944 Route 6. Mike?
The applicant proposes to add an addition, dining room and kitchen, drainage improvements, accessibility improvements, and add additional parking to the existing restaurant on Route 6 in Mahopac. The rear parking area is in the R residential zoning district. A variance was granted several years ago, I think it was 20-something years ago, to allow this within the condition that they return to the planning board for approval, and here they are, and that they maintain the buffer. I recommend that the applicant not install lighting facing west, which would be towards the residential properties. Put it on the back facing towards the building, that would be much better for everybody. In addition, if they regrade the back right side of the property, bring it up, that would get more room for a better buffer to the residential neighborhoods. That's
If
always
you're looking
helpful.
at the property from Route 6 on the right,
Back right,
back right.
back right. So if you're on East Lake, it'd be the front left.
Yep, I got you.
It's just, that's where it's the lowest, so if you put a fence, it's almost below, you know, he knows, we spoke about this many times. If you're going to have a ramp for the accessibility, the accessible parking spot should probably be closest to the entry to the ramp, so maybe slide them just back a little bit.
Yeah, we may wind up turning the ramp. My name is Nick Fusco. I'm here on behalf of 944 Route 6 LLC, also Mike and Joe's. We may wind up turning the ramp, so it's actually closer to the main
That's fine.
entrance to keep it all in
It's
the
just,
same
it
location.
makes sense to put it closest to the spots.
Yeah.
And this project should be referred to the ECB for comments. There is I don't know, I
It's
guess
a
a pipe
culvert,
stream at one
yeah.
time that runs through the middle, so they should
Really?
be going to the ECB for comments.
Okay. Pat, you want to just summarize Rich's?
Nope, he's got 9 pages of
That's
comments.
why I said summarize.
It's the usual, he needs the water and the sewer reports, it's typical stuff that Rich would typically require. My comments are fairly straightforward. There, if you can see, it's the expansion of the restaurant in the back, it's great, and formalizing the parking lot, which is now just an open area, there's no striping or anything. So they're formalizing the parking lot. The one concern is, again, I harp on this, is the site's frontage. So as you know, the restaurant today, it's just pavement and the building. There's nothing there other than pavement and the building. Enhancing the physical appearance of the site's frontage is something we talk about a lot. They're formalizing the parking lot to the left of the building and putting a curb and a driveway there. So the area right in front of the door, which is where people kind of park sideways as they run into the restaurant real quick, and will continue to do that to access the pickup and drop-off area, unless you prevent that by perhaps beautifying that area with some landscaping or planters, people are going to continue to park there. So I think that's an opportunity for us to enhance the appearance of that front portion of the building.
Yep.
Mike mentioned that the only tricky thing with respect to that is there is what used to be a stream that's been put in a pipe that runs through the middle of the property, cuts it in half. They're replacing that. That's a tricky engineering thing to take out a piece of old infrastructure that doesn't work very well and putting in a new piece of infrastructure. So it's not that they're doing the right thing, but making sure it's being done correctly is tricky.
That's a drainage pipe?
Yeah, well, it connects across Route 6. It connects to Mud Pond and that whole large wetland area across the street. So it's not an insignificant drain. It's a water course that's of significance.
They cambered it, and I think you said it was half full with silt?
A portion of it is crushed. There's a lot of debris that's built up because it is crushed, so we are looking to replace it. It's an old cast iron pipe, not cast iron, it's a corrugated metal pipe, and we're replacing it with a high-density polyethylene
So that's
pipe.
their responsibility, that's the pipe that goes into Mud
Yeah,
Pond? Where's
right
it?
now, they should have taken care of that. It's a broken pipe, so they presumably should have repaired that long ago. So now's the time to do it. My only point is, the stream goes into the pipe as it enters the property, comes out of the pipe as it exits the property, making sure the head walls and and it is all designed appropriately, not just for the
And
old
maintained.
condition, but for the future condition.
Yeah.
You know, as we were talking about earlier, it just rains differently these days, so it's now a 48-inch pipe. Is that the right size? Should it be a bigger pipe? Should the head wall be modified or changed? So engineering stuff, so work closely with Rich on that. And again, it does have an environmental component to it, so ECB needs to talk to us about that as well.
And we've been in
Fully zoning
contact.
compliant, meets all the setbacks, so all good otherwise. It's a good improvement on the site, but there's a couple of tricky pieces.
And we've been in contact with DEC, DEP, DOT regarding the project, and we're working closely with them. Part of the reason we wanted to get this to you guys was so that we can begin the secret process and start a stormwater pollution prevention plan with the DEP, so we can continue to move forward in getting these things corrected, and then also moving forward with the project. And as Mike had said earlier on the previous project, beautifying, the area there. I know that Victor has already put up some landscaping on the corner of the property to help with the way that it looks, and we plan on doing more. And we'll also provide landscape plan and some more images in terms of renderings for what the
Can you
final
take us
project
through
will
your
be.
project a little bit,
Absolutely.
just explain? I was out there, I drove out there the other day, and just curious.
Yeah, sure. So currently, I know the driveway is very close to where it currently is. We're going to be adjusting the curb cut, which is why we're dealing with the DOT, also for the loading area. But we're going to formalize the parking. We're proposing actual curbing along the front edge of the parking, so hopefully we won't have that issue that Pat had mentioned. People just driving up to the entry there, make it a little more formal, so those things don't happen. We're expanding the parking. The back area, we're going to do a pervious parking system. We're proposing something right now which is called a true grid system. It's a plastic mesh that goes on top of a substrate that would allow the water to flow through. The benefit to this system is that there are holes that you can insert markers for your parking striping as well as the end of the spots. So that would be the parking area. Moving the dumpster is still in this location, but giving it a proper screening so that it's not just completely open. The building itself, we're adding it's about 2,300 square feet of additional space. Some of it is for an enlarged kitchen. The rest of it is for a new dining space in the rear of the property. We're also including a new entry for the restaurant. We're going to keep the entry in the front, which would serve more for the bar and for takeout. And the side entry will be formalized for the restaurant. So it will have its own vestibule, and that vestibule will also be accessible to the bar and the front portion of the restaurant as it currently is.
The handicap ramp that Mike mentioned, where would that be?
The handicap ramp right now is on the side of the building, which would be connected to the new entrance. What I was explaining to Pat and Mike is that we may actually turn this so that all the parking that we have now, which the no parking space, which is required for those handicap spaces, also acts as your draw to the entrance. So rather than moving that, keeping it all in the same location, and just turning the ramp so that the entry to the ramp is in the same location as the stairs. Keep everything sort of focal towards the new entrance.
Question, can you just describe what's going on, I guess, on the top of your drawing, but it's the western side of the property after you're through the parking lot?
Are you talking about in this area
No,
here?
the top part there.
Oh, up here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so up here, we're going to be adding a little bit of fill and then putting some landscaping up in the top corner here. As Mike had mentioned, we're trying to create some more screening between the commercial area here and the residences that are directly next to the property and to the northwest of the property also. Directly across the street is the golf course, so we don't have too much of a concern with the screening there, but in this area specifically, we want to make sure that there's some sort of visual block between those homes and...
It was required as part of the variance that they maintain a buffer there because of the residential neighborhood adjacent to the commercial.
Yep.
And what the use used to be, obviously, was a little different too, but that's okay.
Yeah, and we're also hoping, I think, that by adding to the building, we're obviously, the site itself is not the best. So by doing this, it gives us an opportunity to change what is currently there.
And like Mike pointed out, are you going to be able to move the lights from the back of the building to maybe the other side?
Yeah, so we're going to be proposing, and we'll provide photometric plans for this also. We're going to be proposing some downlighting on the back of the parking lot just to illuminate the parking lot itself. Nothing will be shining in the opposite direction. Okay. We want to make sure that we maintain, whatever light is going to be on the property, on the actual property.
Right, we just don't want it going onto the neighbors.
Correct, yeah.
And they're redoing the whole parking lot, so this is the time. Run the
Yeah, yeah.
PVC pipes back there. You can run extra wires or whatever you need back there
Yeah.
then, so you'll be good.
You mentioned you were gonna do some kind of enclosure for the garbage. There's some plows back there? Is it blades of the plows? I guess you're gonna clean up that whole area when you do this.
Where the garbage currently is, yeah, there's an
You
old.
got some storage stuff out there.
Yeah, the whole back of the site will
Couple old
essentially
cars,
be
there's 2 old
maintained,
cars
changed,
back
yeah.
there,
Some of that is not on this property, it's actually on the neighboring properties. But there is an old driveway that's gonna come up, it's old pavement that's just, been there, not used, but all of that will come up.
Yeah, especially if you're gonna have customers parking their cars back there.
Of course, yeah, it's gonna be maintained very well, especially with the system that's there, there's gonna have to be some regular maintenance on that also.
And Mr. Chairman, the issue, the site is not bad, it's fine. The auto body shop next door is a bit messy.
I know.
So in your procedure that you've been doing, keeping up with the Joneses, if we can tidy this up a little bit better, perhaps the auto body shop gets the hint
Yep.
and starts to clean things up as well next door.
Can you just describe what the plan is for the new square footage?
Yeah, absolutely. A101 on the bottom there. Thank you, Vic. So the front portion of the building is going to remain as it currently is. And during construction, we're going to try to keep them open as long as possible before we make the switch over to add the new kitchen. So right now, the kitchen ends here. Everything around it is where the addition would be. So we're going to be adding, it's almost 100% expansion of the kitchen. Obviously, we're going to have a lot more seats. There's going to be a lot more demand for the culinary staff there. We're also going to be adding an entry vestibule. This is going to be the service area for the wait staff. We have 2 new bathrooms, both handicap accessible. The entry vestibule here, there's an old staircase that's going to be removed that goes to the basement. It's going to be relocated closer to the kitchen, where we're also going to propose a new basement so that it will be interconnected and it'll make it easier for the staff to get what they need in storage in the basement. But it also opens up this hallway here so that the new entry vestibule can be accessed. You can access the bar directly, or you can go into the dining area where you'll have your host or hostess seat you.
Did I understand you correctly, you're going to be putting in a new basement?
Yes, a portion. It might not be the full basement, but at least under this section here so that we can get additional storage and move the staircase so that this becomes a little more functional in the bar area.
Quite a renovation.
Yes, substantial.
Are you going to have to shut down the restaurant?
At some point, we will. We're going to try to limit how long they're closed for, so we'll probably start to do the framing, leave the kitchen intact, and once we have to marry the 2 kitchens together, that's when we'll close down and finish up the entire project.
Okay. So, as Pat mentioned, there's probably about 3 or 4 pages
Yes,
from
yeah.
Rich. So, Rich is back in the office when? Do you know when Rich is back in the office?
He's in tomorrow.
Okay, so he's being tomorrow, Monday at the latest. Get with him, iron some of these out so that we
Yep.
can move this along.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But I've been in contact with Rich, and I'll work closely with him and, Pat and Mike
And
to
then
make sure that
maybe get
everything's
on the
addressed.
next agenda,
Yeah,
all right?
yeah, sounds good.
If you can, really, it's Rich that has a lot of the questions right now.
Yeah.
I like the project, I think the whole board likes the project.
Okay, fantastic, yes, we'll keep moving forward
And
with it.
it'll look nice in the future.
Yeah, that's our goal, for sure.
Great.
All right, thank you, guys.
Pat, do we need to send them to ECB, or do they just do it on their own?
Let's have him talk to Rich first.
Okay.
And make sure Rich is okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck.
Don't take that, Nick, so you mentioned seeker and the other agencies.
Yep.
So this is, if it's only just a 2,000 square foot addition, it's a type 2 action, meaning we don't have to give the seeker. If those
Correct.
other agencies are saying we should be dealing with it for their permits, you can designate an agency and serve as the coordinated review lead agent for all of this. So were they telling you that they're gonna deal with seeker, or?
Yes.
are you dealing- So what I would recommend, Mr. Chairman, is let's designate the agency and do a coordinated review with the agency.
Sure.
and be able to-
That would help you out.
Yep, certainly.
So I'll make a motion to designate the planning board of the town of Carmel as the lead agency.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
guys.
I'd like to just do a change in the agenda if we can. Is 70 Old Route 6 LLC here? They're here for an extension of final site plan. They're the ninth item on the agenda.
Sorry, I didn't know where we were. I was
Yeah, no,
getting caught
just,
up.
I thought we could speed things up a little bit this way.
I have no objection to the extension of final site plan approval, if that's what you asked me.
Yeah. How long has this been kicking around?
It's been a while. It started out as Tompkins, and then it went to somebody else, and now it's the third iteration. It's been a while. At least 12 years, maybe, 12, 14 years.
When are you gonna do something with this?
Eugene Kempe, Kempe Engineering. My last conversation with the owner when I submitted the request to the board to extend the site plan was he has secured his financing, and he anticipates it'll be finished by the first of the year. At that time, he will order the building, because the metal building is the long lead item in the project, and he anticipates starting construction in the spring construction series, finally.
So, Pat, if they don't start construction this year, because it's been around for many, many years,
Yeah.
can we put this can we make a note that this is the final site plan approval? If you don't see any action on this?
So there's no, you can certainly let the applicant know that enough's enough. So you
Right.
certainly can give them warning, give them fair warning, so don't do a short extension, give them a full year.
Right.
But certainly let them know that this might be their last extension.
I think this board struggles with this all the time, right?
Yeah,
Right.
no, I agree, So Rich has no objections to the extension, nor do I, and you heard Mike doesn't either. Okay. So give him a year and fair warning.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion to extend for 1 year with the caveat that this board may not grant another extension.
Understood.
Okay.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last on the agenda is New York SMSA Limited Partner, Verizon Wireless, site plan for the cell tower.
I think we're hearing him here.
That was the,
We started off with.
they weren't here.
We started off with,
Jack.
no,
No, Jack wasn't here.
well, we started off with it.
Jack wasn't here.
Okay. Yeah, no, we started off with that and no representative.
Yeah, it just went quick and went over my head, so
Oh,
I
okay.
waited until the end, I was hoping just to ask a question.
You wanna-
Yeah, that's all I wanted, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
We
Jack
need
wasn't
to,
here.
Mr. Guardioso, are you there? Yes, I'm here. We can barely hear you. Let's see if, you're only coming through the laptop right now. Let's see if our AV expert can,
Vinny, it's not coming across, okay, there you go. He's gonna put a microphone next to it.
Vinny to the rescue.
No, that's all we do.
I cannot see the point.
I think you have to take that
No volume coming out of the TV.
for him to see us. You cannot see us?
Correct.
So-
I can hear you. It's faint, but I can hear you, but I cannot see
Can-
you.
can
Now
we-
I can see you.
Can you say something? That's weird.
We have a microphone next to the computer to try and pick you up, so
Great. Can you hear me now?
it's faint. I'm not sure the audience can.
One of the reasons I couldn't get it playing through the TV, I tried everything. I tried 3 different devices. What if I hold the microphone right next to it?
That's what Bob's got.
No, right next to it.
It is.
Where is the sound coming from?
That's what I'm talking.
You want to just say a few words? Let me see if I can.
Yes, can you hear me better now?
No. Is this on?
This is probably.
Is it coming from the TV?
Yep. This is on.
It sounds like it's coming from.
I'm here, I'm not sure.
Oh, is that weird?
The TV won't be able to hear that.
Try one more time.
Now?
No.
Oh, boy.
Is there volume on your end that you can
It
turn up?
needs to come out of the,
No, I have mine turned all the way up.
even the laptop is not loud.
Yeah.
I picked them up on my headphones, the sound ain't working. I connected to the meeting back there, so.
It's not helping.
Is there any way you can put that over the speakers?
Hold on. Technical difficulties.
Always, right? Maybe.
Alternative location that this application includes, which we think is a much better location for a number of different reasons, including the access, the proximity to the power line towers, and the existing screening in the area. We submitted a number of documents since we last met. We submitted the SHPO concurrence, where SHPO confirmed there were no historic properties in the area. We submitted the Mahopac specifications as requested by the town planner. That showed the different various potential colors for the pole, the different options for the branches, and a branch design which showed the thickness of the design of the various branches as this tower is proposed as an alternative to be a monopine. We also, would also be willing to build facility as a monopole, but we did offer the additional alternative of the monopine. We added some additional sightline profiles from 25 and 27 Summit Circle Drive to show the location of the pole in relation to the surrounding trees, and I think that showed that the trees, even at a much lower height than we estimated in the field, still were higher than the top of the pole, the proposed location, based on those sightlines. We submitted some documentation that we had previously submitted, I think some stuff we discussed last time regarding access and the infeasibility of coming up the side of the mountain, which is over 1,100 feet with a 200-foot vertical drop and a 25% grade in many locations. We submitted the archaeological report showing there were no impacts on archaeological resources. We submitted the full stormwater pollution prevention plan. We submitted our engineer's response memo to the town engineer's comments, and we submitted the revised site plan that went along with that. With that, I would just want to inform the board, we are scheduled for a public hearing with the zoning board on the height variance on December 5th. However, obviously, the zoning board will be unable to act until the planning board makes a secret determination if and when it ultimately is the lead agency after the 30-day period is set to expire. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions the board may have this evening, and I'd respectfully ask the board to schedule a public hearing for the December planning board meeting. Thank you.
So the board won't be able to make a decision, the zoning board won't be able to make a decision at their zoning meeting?
Correct, because there's a coordinated secret review, and the planning board has to take a secret determination first.
And the 30 days didn't pass yet, okay. So you're gonna have a public hearing and hold it open, I guess, because they would not have their variance decision yet.
Yeah.
Rob, where does that put us with respect to the shot clock?
So I do believe we do have time on the shot clock.
Would you be kind enough to verify that, and if we get?
Yeah, I can verify that. Give me one moment.
The timing we're talking about now is no fault of our own, it's procedural, so if we're getting close, we would ask for you to give us the consent of an extension.
Yeah, we have plenty of time. Right now, the shot clock is not until February 17th, so there's ample time under the shot clock.
Just want to make sure, I don't want a technicality.
So we're gonna have to hold a public hearing,
Open.
hold it open, then send it over to the zoning board.
Correct.
You already sent it to zoning.
First, make a secret determination, then we have to go back to the zoning board,
In January. So that's
grant the
when we-
variance, come back to the planning board for the continuation of the public hearing and a determination on the site plan, special permit.
Now, you mentioned that some of the trees at the new location are higher than the cell tower?
From the perspective of 25 to 27, Summit Circle, I think that was one of the questions out in the field. The way the new location is lower in ground elevation. And we also lowered the height of the tower, and then 25 and 27 Summit Circle is the area in the distance. I guess that would be to the east and up on the hill. And what we showed, it wasn't necessarily that the trees were higher, it's that the trees, based on that line of sight, were
Yeah, they walk up the hill.
relative to those locations.
That's the elevation he's referring to?
I saw that.
The hill goes up.
Yeah. Did you fully vet accessing from the condos?
We did, and we did it 3 different ways. We submitted 2 documents that we had previously submitted. One was a document from Mr. Wimmer from Homeland Towers, and one was from our engineer at Dewberry Engineering. And to come up the cliff from the condos, it's an 1,100-foot run. It's a 200-foot vertical distance straight through the woods. And in some areas, even if we were able to snake the drive through there, and that 1,100-foot run is a straight run. It would never be able to be a straight run, so it would be much longer than that, and it would exceed 25% slopes in much of that area. So there would be significant environmental disturbance coming up that hill from tree removal, grading. It just wouldn't be feasible.
Yeah, and I mean, I could say, Mr. Chairman, that I went out, as Mr. Gordioso had said, when we did the inspection of the area, and it really isn't feasible to come up from the property up to the, with the site where the tower is going to be. So.
One question I have is, so assuming the access will come from Walton Drive, can you just describe in detail the construction sequencing and then the post-construction sequence access? What is going to happen on Walton Drive as opposed to on your site, within the site? Because in the context is, people have, neighbors there have voiced concern about parking of construction vehicles on Walton Drive and things like that. So if you can address that.
Yes, I think it's an excellent question. If I may share my screen, you do have the plans, and I know it'll be hard for you to see, but I'd refer you to sheet Z8 of the plans, which is the partial site plan. So we come off, there's an existing access drive from Walton Drive, because the condominium has their water tank and their water plant out there. So there's already an existing access drive. We would come off that access drive, and what we've done is we've shown here where the access drive would be extended, which is already a path, but we would grade it, we would pave it as required by the town engineer. That was a last set of comments. And what we've shown here is we've shown that there'll be no parking on Walton Drive. There'll be no material storage on Walton Drive. We will simply come off Walton Drive. We have a material storage area here. We showed where we can have the crane and the pole set up here during construction. We've created this entire area here where we have the crane storage area and staging area right here. So this whole area will be flattened out, and after the facility's built, we'll also have the parking in this location here, and we'll have all of this area here to be able to construct the facility, store the vehicles, and the materials as the facility is constructed, and ultimately as the facility is operated. So we've committed that we will not park or store materials or construction vehicles on Walton Drive. This new alternative location is a much better location because also the amount of fill and grading is significantly minimized over the prior location. So we will not have to bring in the type of fill that we would have had to last time. So that's another advantage of this location that's much deeper in the property and closer to the power lines.
Thank you.
We're going to schedule a public hearing. I thought I read it, but I'm not sure where. How far did you move the cell tower?
I don't have the distance off the top of my head, but I can show you again going back.
Yeah,
to
I
the
thought I
site.
saw it somewhere, but
Yeah, it's quite a distance because the original location, and it's hard to tell on this scale how far it is, but the original location was up in here. And it was within the limiting distance to this home here.
Right.
We've now moved it all the way down to the bottom of the property where the power lines are. So it's quite a distance. I don't know the actual number of feet,
Okay.
but it's significant in the amount that we were able to move it.
okay. Any questions from anyone else on the board?
The only thing I wanted to add, Mr. Gordioso, is when we were out there, we were walking the site, I think all three of us from the planning board asked about, creating a buffer to the houses that are up the hill. And I forget, how many trees did you say you were going to be adding?
So the code requires that we add 3 20-foot pine trees,
Okay.
which we've added to the plan.
All right, so here's my question. I was wondering if there was any way that you could do a few more, and the reason is this. When we were standing collectively looking at the site and looking up the hill and everything, that was one thing, but then when we started actually at the end to walk back to the car, I don't know if you noticed, but there were 2 people at the edge of their property, and at that point, it really became, because there aren't many trees between the site and their homes, it became a little bit more apparent that there was a big open space. So I was wondering if you would consider maybe putting a few more trees just to create a little more buffer there between, there's really 2 houses up the hill that I'm thinking about.
What I would suggest, because I understand your point, is if the board was so inclined to approve the application, to include a condition to add a few more trees as you suggest, and have those trees field located with the assistance of maybe the town engineer or the town planner during the construction process. Because what I'm concerned about is if if we show it on the plan, you know, that's all well and good, but what my experience is that when you actually go out in the field during construction, and just as you mentioned, when you go in the field, you know, sometimes if you can move a tree a few feet one direction or another, it makes a big difference. It can make the difference between being valuable and being not valuable. So I think the way to handle it, I don't think we'd be opposed to a condition of a few more trees, and I would suggest to make it a condition of approval and have them field located during the construction process, so that way they get put in the spot that provides the best screening.
Joe, that shouldn't be a problem, right?
Well, I would recommend, that's a little too wishy-washy. So I'd recommend a draft of a landscaping plan that specifically shows these are the trees we would use, and we think they would be around here.
Okay.
We would then field locate them in the future when they're actually installing them.
The field location's a good idea.
It absolutely is, but I don't want to just say, do a few more trees somewhere in the woods. We have to be more
Right,
specific than that.
If you could maybe send us the suggestion of the location that you're referring to, we can certainly put that plan together. Just because I'm not exactly sure where you're talking about.
Okay.
Based on this discussion.
If you want us to take a crack at that, happy to do that.
I mean, literally, just put a couple dots on the plan and send it back to us, and we'll take it from there.
Well, listen, I appreciate the fact that you're receptive to it, and I think we could figure out a way to work together on this. I don't think that's a problem.
Thank you.
So when you first start construction and you pull up with your trucks, where are you guys going to pull these trucks? All the way into the building, into the lot, or what's the thought when you first get there?
Yeah, pull right into the lot.
It's Mike Carnazza, by the way, asking.
Correct, pull into the lot. There's that existing driveway.
Which is the access to the water.
Correct.
Got it.
Yeah, that would have to be a condition of approval, that even the very first phase of construction, all construction vehicles are in the site, not on hold.
Yes. So I think we're ready to schedule a public hearing.
They have provided responses to the comments. Whether, it's up to you to determine whether they're satisfactory or not, but they're ready for a public hearing, but as you heard earlier, I think we'd have to extend, keep that public hearing open at least for another month.
And where are we on the seeker side?
You designated lead agency, and we haven't run the 30 days yet, so you.
After the
Yep,
zoning public hearing.
right. So at next meeting, you could theoretically address seeker.
The zoning public hearing is December 5th.
Yep. So they're gonna have to withhold their decision until their January meeting, so we're
Got it.
bumping a month further on for everything.
Okay.
What's our next meeting?
December,
12th, I think.
yeah, I think it's the middle of the month.
12th,
Well,
I
I
believe.
think it's December 9th.
9th or 12th?
No, 12.
There's only a single meeting in December, it's the 12th.
12, Robin.
I'll bring something.
You are right, it's December 12th. Rose told me that.
Yes. Rose knows.
Rose knows best.
And hopefully we'll have our AV issues worked out by then.
So let's
you.
make a
I appreciate the
motion to
courtesy.
schedule a public hearing.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to schedule a public hearing.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, and have a nice Thanksgiving.
You too.
Okay,
Take care.
bye. Have a good night. Rose distributed the minutes of September 12th. Has anyone had a chance to review them?
I've reviewed the minutes, made some minor recommendations to Rose. I make a motion to approve the minutes subject to those changes.
Second subject.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you and good night.
Motion adjourned.
Ah, yes, thank you. Good night.
Good night.
They did.